If you're one of the millions of people in the UK relying on universal credit to make ends meet, then you absolutely need to listen up, because 2025 is going to be a game changer for the way universal credit works. The Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, is rolling out some massive changes, and they will affect everything from your eligibility to the frequency of your payments. Yes, that's right, things are about to shift in ways that could directly impact your financial situation, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on what's coming. So, in today's video, I'm going to break down the most important changes to universal credit that are coming your way in 2025, and explain exactly how these adjustments might affect you, your payments, and your responsibilities. This is the kind of information you need to stay ahead of the curve, especially if you're someone who's currently receiving universal credit or if you know someone who is. Before we dive into the upcoming changes, let's take a quick moment to review what universal credit actually is. Universal credit was introduced by the UK government to replace a number of older benefits and streamline the welfare system. The idea behind universal credit was to make it simpler for people who are struggling financially to get the support they need. It combines 6 benefits into one single payment, covering income support, job seekers allowance, employment and support allowance, housing benefit, working tax credit, and child tax credit. This means that whether you're unemployed, working part-time, or unable to work due to illness or disability, universal credit was designed to help you meet your basic living costs. It also adjusts based on your circumstances, so if you start earning money through work, your universal credit payments are reduced gradually, rather than stopping all at once. For many people, universal credit has been a lifeline, offering some stability in uncertain times. But now, in 2025, the government is set to make some big changes that could have a profound impact on how this system works. So what exactly is changing in 2025? Well, the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, has announced a number of significant updates to universal credit, starting with changes to eligibility. Currently, the rules for who qualifies for universal credit are pretty straightforward, but the DWP is tightening these criteria for 2025. One of the main changes is that the work requirement for claimants who are considered fit to work will become more stringent. If you are able to work, the DWP will be setting stricter requirements for the amount of work or job search you need to demonstrate. Essentially, this means you could be required to look for work for longer hours each week, sign up for additional training programs, or even volunteer. The government's goal is to get more people into full-time employment, and they are making it clear that if you're able to work, they expect you to be doing so, or at least working toward that goal. If you're someone who's currently receiving universal credit and you're able to work, this means that your obligations might be more demanding than before. It's not just about claiming the benefit anymore. Now, the government is going to want you to show more active engagement with finding work, building your skills, and increasing your working hours. For example, they might require you to prove that you've applied for a certain number of jobs each week or that you're attending job fairs and career events. This could mean a lot more work on your end, and if you fail to meet these requirements, you might face some serious consequences, like a reduction in your universal credit payments or, in the worst case, sanctions. This could cause significant stress for claimants, particularly for those who have trouble finding suitable employment or those dealing with long-term health conditions that limit their ability to work. But that's not all. Another major change coming in 2025 is the shift in how payments will be calculated. Currently, most people receive their universal credit payment once a month. However, the DWP is introducing a system that will allow some claimants to receive payments more frequently, either weekly or bi-weekly. This change is intended to provide more flexibility and to help people better manage their finances, especially those who struggle with monthly payments. For some people, receiving their universal credit on a monthly basis can feel overwhelming, as it's difficult to budget over the course of an entire month when living expenses are often due on a weekly basis. The idea behind the more frequent payment options is that people will be able to manage their day-to-day expenses more effectively and avoid falling into debt or having to rely on payday loans. However, there is a catch. Not everyone will automatically be able to choose how frequently they receive their payments. While some claimants will have the option of weekly or bi-weekly payments, others will continue to receive their payments monthly, depending on their circumstances. For example, those who are working part-time or on 0-hours contracts could see their payments adjusted to reflect their actual earnings more quickly. This will help ensure that universal credit remains aligned with your current financial situation. If you earn more money, your universal credit payment will decrease, and if you earn less, your payment will increase. While this might sound fair, it could make it harder for some claimants to predict exactly how much they'll be receiving from month to month, which could lead to financial instability or difficulty budgeting. Another aspect of universal credit that is undergoing significant change in 2025 is the work requirements for individuals with disabilities or long-term health conditions. Currently, people who are unable to work due to a disability or health issue can receive support through universal credit, but the application process can sometimes be complicated and bureaucratic. In 2025, the government will continue to provide support to people with disabilities, but it's likely that the eligibility process will become more detailed. People with severe disabilities or long-term health conditions might need to provide additional documentation to prove their condition, which could mean extra paperwork and waiting times. While the government has promised that there will be additional support available for disabled claimants, it's unclear exactly how the process will change or how quickly these changes will take effect. So, if you are someone with a disability or a health condition, be prepared for a more thorough application process and potentially longer waiting times. In addition to these changes, the DWP is also revamping how childcare and housing support will be handled. For families, the cost of childcare is a major concern, and many parents rely on universal credit to help cover these expenses. The good news is that, starting in 2025, more people will be eligible for childcare subsidies, and the support will cover a wider range of expenses, including after-school care and extracurricular activities for children under the age of 12. This will be a huge relief for working parents, as the cost of childcare in the UK has been rising steadily in recent years. The government is also making it easier for parents to access these benefits, so if you're a parent who's struggling with the cost of childcare, this change should provide some welcome support. Housing support is another area undergoing change. For many people, paying rent is one of their biggest financial challenges, and universal credit is designed to help with housing costs. In 2025, the government is increasing the amount of support available to cover rent. They will adjust the rent support to account for inflation and the rising cost of living, which will help renters keep up with rent hikes. While this sounds like a positive change, it's important to note that the exact details of how these adjustments will be made are still somewhat unclear. But if you're someone who's struggling with rent or housing costs, this could make a big difference in terms of your monthly payments. As we approach 2025, it's clear that universal credit is undergoing significant changes, and the way it affects people's lives is likely to change as well. Whether it's the tighter work requirements, the shift in payment structure, or the changes to housing and childcare support, these adjustments could have a huge impact on how you manage your finances. It's vital to stay informed and make sure you understand how these changes will affect you and your family. The government has made it clear that these changes are meant to help people transition into work and make the welfare system more efficient, but it's important to keep an eye on how these changes unfold and how they might impact your personal circumstances. So, what does all of this mean for you? If you're currently receiving universal credit, make sure you keep an eye on these upcoming changes. Stay in touch with your local job center and make sure you're meeting all of the new work requirements if they apply to you. If you're a parent, take note of the expanded childcare support, and if you're renting, be aware of the changes to housing benefits. And if you're someone with a disability or long-term health condition, make sure you're aware of the new application processes and documentation requirements. The more you know about these changes, the better prepared you'll be to navigate the new rules. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with anyone you know who might be affected by these changes. And if you have any questions or want more details on specific changes, leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I'll be back soon with more updates on universal credit and other important welfare changes. Thanks for watching, and stay informed.